Alright, my dudes, we're back, of course, to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Of course, we're talking about the PC port of the game. Last night, we talked about the shit launch of the game, right? And there's a lot of things that go into a terrible launch of Remake. But we're also, the main point, kind of, or the newer information with that video was the terrible performance of the game on PC. Turns out today, we already, within, a day or two of the game launching, have an answer, potentially, for why the game is performing like it is. And if you happen to have watched last night's video, if you remember, towards the end of it, I talked about how kind of taking a step back from everything and just look at all the different aspects of this weird launch for Remake on PC. To me, it feels very rushed. And with today's information, that almost kind of confirms it seems like. And given all the problems surrounding this game currently, at least on PC, I think it's important to make videos like this when there's more information, more things to talk about, for public awareness, for the consumer. I think it's important people know this shit before they decide to give Epic or Square Enix their $70 fucking dollars. So that's why we're here today. So what happened is, earlier, a couple hours ago, I got a comment from somebody on my video from last night that says that they published the wrong version of the game. So obviously I wanted to look into this, and it turns out this seems to be the case. So I went on the old Google machine, came across a PC Games In article that talks about this. They also linked to a ResetEra thread, and I think that's where this kind of originated at. I've seen some posts over on Reddit, but those go back as far as maybe 12 hours ago. Whereas the comments we're going to look at on the ResetEra thread go back 7 or 8 o'clock p.m. yesterday, so these have been out for almost 24 hours over on ResetEra, so I think that's kind of where this originated. And you might have seen from the screenshots, what we have here, or what seems to be, is that Square Enix shipped out an unfinished version of Remake for Epic Games Store, whether it's a debug build or a development build, something like that. So on this thread with ResetEra, people are just, of course, talking about the performance of the game on PC, and then we roll into this comment from Kuro that says, modders discovered this is a dev build and not a release build. They're saying it just means it has some debug stuff, but I wonder if this has anything to do with the stuttering issues. To which Nooblet replies and says, if that's the case, then yes, that's possible. Debuggers affect performance, but I'd like to know what they are basing this on. And then we get this insane info from Kuro that says they pulled this from the files, which is a lot of script and text and stuff. The main important part, of course, is the bold section that says, build configuration equals PPBC development, and at the bottom it says it's normally PPBC shipping for released games, apparently. So what it appears like we have here, and this isn't just speculation based on the performance of the game, this is modders getting into the files of the game on PC, is an unfinished version. Now whether that's a development build of the game or just a version of the game with debuggers in it which affect performance, it's hard to say. But it definitely isn't a finished product. And as one of the people on ResetEra said, you can't make this shit up. How does this happen? How do you send out an unfinished version of the game? I even mentioned this in yesterday's video. I didn't want to say it. I hate saying it because I feel like there's a lot of passion behind Remake. I think there's a lot of fan service behind Remake. But to me, it feels like, at least with the PC version of the game, that they don't give a shit. And then when I wake up today and see that there's an unfinished version of the game releasing on PC, a development build of the game, somehow coming to Epic and being sold for $70, yeah, to me it looks like you don't give a shit. And I'm not even sure who you blame specifically. Who's the guy that sent this version to Epic, right? Who's the guy that clicked send? I don't know, do you email this to them? Do you send a physical copy in the mail? I don't know what you do these days. I don't know how this gets sent out. But, who do you blame for this? Who's the one that's probably going to get fired, I would think? I would hope. Somebody needs to see some repercussions. Goddamn, you're charging people for this unfinished game. And how do you not know it's unfinished? The fact, how is it that random people, everyday people, that modders and shit, people at home in their house, can get into your game files and within 24 hours of releasing on PC can tell you that your game is unfinished? What the fuck is going on? Now, scrolling through the Reddit thread, I have seen some comments and discussions about the possibility that it might not be specifically the debuggers. It might not be a debug build of the game. But at the very least, the consensus seems to be that it's at least a development build. So I don't know if we can say with a certainty 100% that this is an unfinished version of the game, a development build of the game, but everything seems to be pointing towards that. If that's not the case, you guys can let me know for sure. If you guys have a link to something that kind of explains it better than what the people are explaining on Reddit, because it's a lot of coding stuff and stuff if you work within Unreal Engine 4 and stuff. Shit that, us average people aren't going to understand. Because reading through it all, half people are well, it is a, dev build, a debug build because of this, this, and this. And then you have other people saying, well, it's not because of this, this, and this. And I'm over here what's the actual answer then? Because I'm kind of confused, my dudes. But as it stands, at least right now, this seems to maybe be why the game is performing like it is on PC, because it might not be a fully finished product. And if that ends up being the case, we have 100% confirmation eventually, then this is such a bad look for Square Enix, and I guess technically Epic as well, and just kind of furthers the hate towards Epic, and I guess maybe a little bit of Square Enix as well. The fact that we waited all this time and then maybe they're shipping out a not finished game and still charging you full price. I don't really know what more I can add to this conversation. I said it yesterday. I've kind of been saying this since the beginning. If you didn't like the price of the game, you didn't like the platform the game was on, don't give them your money. Based on the performance, the rocky launch of the game, and now the possibility that you could be buying a development build of the game, don't give them your fucking $70. I would not. I would wait for a sell or for it to maybe come to another platform at some point in time. I don't know. There's also other means of getting the game, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but you know what I mean. There are means. Selling the seas, selling the high seas, as they say, or whatever. The code for the shit. Like, if you don't agree with what's going on right now, there's ways to play this game. We'll just leave it at that. But my dudes, I think that's where we're going to kind of wrap this one up. We had to get this video out today. We had to get this info out today. If there's an update to this, we'll definitely do some sort of follow-up. If we have more answers, a more definitive answer for this, we'll definitely do another video, man. Because this is important. Like I said, this is important for consumers, especially the price that this game is. I think people need to know everything before they buy this game. I'll, of course, have everything that I mentioned in this video, links to ResetEra, the Reddit thread, even the PC Games and article, whatever the case, in case you want to research it, read up on this shit for yourself. Maybe you understand it better than I do. But my dudes, that is of course the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys aren't new. Today, more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. And my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description. And in the outro. Later, guys.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine or leave it like Cobain.